Throughout these 25 hours of debate, there's been one theme that no member of this body should forget, that no American should forget, because it's the heart of this bill. And what is the heart of the bill? Families lose and billionaires win. This bill features $2 trillion in cuts to core programs in healthcare, housing, and education, the programs that help families stand on their feet and thrive and move into the middle class and succeed, and their children succeed in the next generation. But no, my Republican colleagues say, slash those programs, because they're not the folks who power our campaigns. We don't care about the families struggling to succeed. Well, no, what we care about are the billionaires. So we wrote this bill for billionaires. Just how much? Well, that $2 trillion funds tax breaks for the richest Americans. And then, because that's not enough, this bill borrows $37 trillion over 30 years to fund additional tax breaks. $37 trillion in debt. Cuts to programs for families to fund tax giveaways to the richest Americans. That's what this is about. If you care about health care across America, if you know that Medicaid provides, well, in my state, about a third of our citizens have health insurance through Medicaid, our rural clinics, our rural hospitals do far better. And why do they do far better with Medicaid? Because patients can pay bills because they have health insurance. Medicaid, critical for programs for people to get out of their addiction. Medicaid, critical for seniors to be able to get nursing home care. Medicaid, essential for those with disabilities. It plays a huge role for our veterans. And they want to strike it down. And they want to strike down Social Security. Get rid of all the clerks that make Social Security work, that turn the gears and make sure the checks go out on time. Because why should we worry about Social Security? Billionaires don't need Social Security. Strike that down. How about lunch programs for schools? We know that kids learn far better when they have a full stomach. So programs like that matter, but not to the billionaires. Not in this bill. $2 trillion in cuts for programs families depend on to fund massive tax giveaways to the richest Americans. And then, on top of all that, a gimmick to say to the American people, while we're adding $37 trillion in debt, we'll tell you we're adding nothing. It's called current policy baseline. It's magic math. It's like this. You rent an apartment. Apartment costs you $2,000 a month, $24,000 over the year. You rent it for a year under contract. And then you get to the end of the year and you say, I think I'll sign a contract for a second year. And you say, oh, but that will cost nothing. That's the magic math. Well, we know, everyone knows it'll still cost $2,000 a month or more with inflation. More because the rent might go up. But the magic math from the Republican side says, no, it's zero. It's zero. Extending new tax benefits that would have expired costs $37 trillion. And Republicans say, just pretend it away. Now, what I would like to understand is why the party that has often run on fiscal responsibility has decided, first of all, to strike down the nonpartisan numbers that create an honest debate. That's been the rule, the direction, the bipartisan consensus since 1974. We will use honest numbers. We created a whole organization, the Congressional Budget Office, to make sure the numbers were fair so we could have an honest debate here and with the American people. But the magic math produced on this bill throws all that overboard. Fiscal responsibility overboard. Massive $37 trillion in new debt from this bill. You know what? Our entire national debt today is less than $37 trillion. This one bill produces even more debt that's been piled up over 249 years since the Declaration of Independence. If that isn't fiscally irresponsible, I don't know what is. You know, you may ask, don't those folks who are struggling, the 1 out of 10 who are really trying to get on their feet at the bottom, is there something for them? Well, the estimate is that they get the equivalent of $6 a year. Well, I mean, if you have a fancy cup of coffee at Starbucks, not where I go for coffee, but many do, it costs about $6. This bill doesn't give a cup of coffee a day to the bottom 10%. It doesn't give a cup of coffee a week to the bottom 10%. It gives 1 cup per year. That's what you get out of this bill if you're in the bottom 10% struggling to get on your feet. Don't drink it all at once. Just 1 little sip each day for 365 days. Because you, in the bottom 10%, are not a billionaire. Going to cut your programs that get you on your feet, the fundamentals for families to thrive in healthcare and housing and education and good paying jobs, to enrich the richest Americans. This is perhaps the worst bill I have ever seen debated on the floor of the Senate. So colleagues across the aisle, turn back to your speeches and your election campaigns that said, I'm for fiscal responsibility, and come and join us and write a real bill in which families thrive and billionaires pay their fair share of taxes. That would be an advance for the United States of America. That would be good work on the floor of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.